A magnitude 5.4 earthquake has occurred in Xinjiang, located in northwestern China, as reported by the U.S. Geological Survey. The epicenter of the seismic activity was situated approximately 136 kilometers to the northwest of Tumshik, with the hypocenter reaching a depth of about 9 kilometers. It is likely that mild tremors were felt in western Xinjiang and some nearby areas. There have been no immediate reports of damage or casualties resulting from the earthquake. Unusual and early snowfall in the northeast of China has led to the closure of schools, restricted traffic, and the cancellation of flights. Tragically, 3 people lost their lives in an accident during the snowfall. Reports from local media indicate that the atypical early snowstorms and snowfalls in northern Chinese provinces have disrupted transportation and government services. Typically, the first snowfall in northeastern China occurs in late November or early December. However, this year, snowfall commenced in the first half of November and persisted for several consecutive days. In the northernmost Chinese province of Heilongjiang, 51 passenger trains were temporarily halted due to the blizzard. Harbin, the main city in the province, experienced over 400 canceled flights at its airport, with several smaller airports completely shut down. Harbin's schools and kindergartens also temporarily suspended classes, and the city authorities declared the highest red alert level in response to the challenging weather conditions. The flooding of the Fula River in Monsignor Newell, República Dominicana, has resulted in a tragic loss of at least 2 lives, while 4 others remain missing. The abrupt rise in the river's water level, triggered by intense rains on Tuesday afternoon, swept away unsuspecting individuals. Among the victims were 2 women and a 13-year-old girl, whose bodies were later recovered by the civil defense. Their identities are currently unknown, and their bodies have been taken to the morgue at the Pedro Emilio de Marchena Hospital in Bonao for identification. In response to the tragedy, a comprehensive rescue operation has been initiated, with 25 swift water specialists on the ground actively searching for the missing individuals. Reports indicate that several others, including a 7-year-old girl, are still unaccounted for. 4 people have been successfully rescued so far, and the victims are believed to be from San Francisco de Macorís and Santo Domingo, engaging in recreational activities at the river when the disaster occurred. According to reports, the province of Monsignor Newell experienced 2 heavy downpours on Tuesday afternoon, which likely contributed to the overflow of the river. It is noteworthy that this is not the first occurrence of the Fula River unexpectedly overflowing. A magnitude 5.3 earthquake occurred near Mentone, El Paso, Texas, as reported by the U.S. Geological Survey. The quake's epicenter was located 22 miles west-southwest of Mentone and had a depth of approximately 4.9 miles. The National Weather Service in El Paso noted that the earthquake's effects were felt as far away as Santa Teresa, New Mexico, which is about 200 miles to the west of the epicenter. As of now, there have been no reported injuries resulting from the earthquake. An explosion occurred at a chemical plant in Shepherd, Texas, just north of Houston, leading to a massive fire that prompted the county's Office of Emergency Management to issue a shelter-in-place order. Initially, the order covered an 8-kilometer radius but was later revised to a 1.5-kilometer radius. Although the shelter-in-place orders were eventually lifted, residents were advised to stay vigilant about their health. Polk County Emergency Management recommended that residents temporarily turn off heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems in homes and businesses. The specific effects of the chemicals in the air remain unknown, but videos circulating on social media depict a dark plume of smoke emanating from the accident site. The Sound Resource Solutions plant specializes in petroleum products and produces flammable chemicals, including acetone and xylene. Due to a significant increase in water levels in the rivers of the northern French department of Pas-de-Calais, dozens of settlements were flooded. The authorities declared the maximum red level of weather danger for flooding in the basins of 2 rivers. Preliminary data from the Interior Ministry indicates that at least 7 people have been affected by the disaster. More than 1,500 firefighters and rescuers have been mobilized to assist the affected population. Since Monday, water levels in the rivers have been rising due to heavy rains brought by hurricanes Kieran and Domingos that impacted France and Europe last week. The previous evening, the authorities declared the maximum red level of weather danger for flooding in the basin of the River A, which flows into the North Sea near the city of St. Omer. In the River A, the water level has already surpassed the historical record set in March 2002. The French Interior Minister has reported that 7 people were injured in the disaster, and over 1,500 firefighter rescuers have been deployed to the affected areas to assist the population. Over 600 rescue operations were conducted last night alone. Preliminary data from the prefecture indicates that approximately 60 communities in the department have been impacted by the floods, with authorities describing the damage as significant. In response to the situation, the prefecture has temporarily closed schools in a total of 70 communities in the areas of St. Omer and Boulogne-sur-Mer. Residents are strongly advised to avoid waterways, riverbanks, and bridges as much as possible, and to refrain from using flooded roads when traveling by car. A significant hangar, known for its appearances in various movies and TV shows including The X-Files, Law and Order, Star Trek, and scenes for Pearl Harbor, has burned down in the U.S. The hangar, used to store airships during World War II, was a historic part of Orange County. Specially equipped helicopters, including Chinook helicopters designed for battling forest fires, were called in to assist with the firefighting efforts. According to firefighters, this created an unprecedented situation. The cause of the fire is currently unknown. The hangar, located at the Tustin Air Force Base, was the largest wooden structure ever built and played a significant role in the area's history. The Air Force Base was closed in 1999. Heavy rains have led to flooding in various regions of Malaysia, necessitating the evacuation of approximately 1,000 individuals to designated centers. This flooding event has impacted 6 districts spanning Selangor, Perak, and Pahang. A total of 237 families have been relocated to 12 temporary assistance centers to provide shelter and support.
Hari raya di jalan raya, matilah, lari sudah penumpangnya, matilah.
Rooftop ah.
Sampai pusat besok sampai puting tu.
Atas jambatan UMNO. Atas jambatan pun boleh banjir Uish. Menghala kapal layar.
As of now, no fatalities have been reported. According to the National Disaster Management Agency, Malaysia's meteorological agency has issued warnings about challenging weather conditions that are expected to persist until the end of the week. The worst floods in decades have engulfed Somalia. At least 29 people have died and more than 300,000 residents have been displaced from their homes. According to the National Disaster Management Agency, heavy rains have affected cities across East Africa. The floods in Somalia followed a severe drought in the region over the past 40 years. Thousands of stranded people have been rescued. The death toll and displaced people are likely to continue to rise, according to the Managing Director of Somalia's Disaster Management Agency. According to the United Nations, the overflowing Juba River has cut off 2,400 residents of Luke Town from the outside world. Stores have been washed away by floodwaters. People continue to flee the disaster-stricken town. At least 15 people have lost their lives in floods in Kenya, with the increased rainfall in East Africa between October and December attributed to the El Niño weather phenomenon. This region has experienced more rainfall than usual during this period. El Niño is marked by the warming of the surface layer of the Pacific Ocean. It occurs, on average, once every 2 to 7 years and typically lasts 9 to 12 months. El Niño leads to heat and drought in some regions and heavy precipitation in others. The regional government reports that since the beginning of the rainy season in Ethiopia's Somali region, over 20 people have died and more than 12,000 have been displaced. In Brazil, South America, a chocolate factory named Cacao Show in Linhers experienced an explosion and subsequent fire. Videos of the emergency at the scene are currently being shared by witnesses on social media. The footage shows the building fully engulfed in flames, and at one point, there was a notable explosion. Although the fire was of significant magnitude, it's astonishing that no injuries were reported. Furthermore, during a critical moment when there was a risk of the fire spreading to nearby houses, rescuers successfully prevented this from happening. Firefighters managed to extinguish the fire at the factory, and they are currently conducting a thorough cleanup to prevent any rekindling. The exact cause of the intense fire remains unclear. It's important to note that the factory is a crucial source of income for the city, so this incident poses a risk to the livelihoods of many local residents. Severe flooding hit the western part of Saudi Arabia, particularly in Jeddah, Mecca. In just 5 hours, an extraordinary 180 millimeters of rain fell, causing significant damage. Trees were uprooted, hundreds of cars were swept away, and sadly there were 2 reported fatalities. The intense rainfall left several provinces without electricity, leading to the closure of educational institutions in the affected areas. In a city where the usual November precipitation is around 23 millimeters, and the average annual precipitation is 60 millimeters, the recorded 90 millimeters in just 4 hours is remarkable. This has resulted in widespread traffic disruptions, with some areas experiencing waterlogged streets where people are navigating by swimming. The cyclone is expected to persist in Saudi Arabia for several more days, and emergency services are working diligently to aid the region's recovery. The challenges are significant, and the focus remains on ensuring the safety and well-being of the affected communities.